Fantastic.
All right, you guys, welcome to our first team call of February. Of course, the most special call of the year when Autumn joins us to launch the new and improved Ultimate Portion Fix nutrition program, plus certification, plus remake of the 21-Day Fix and 21-Day Fix Extreme. You guys, it is the freaking Super Bowl of Beachbody this year. We had Transform 20. Well, we still have Transform 20. We're coming into, even though her name is Autumn, the spring is going to be outrageous. You guys, it's time to really get focused on how we're going to utilize this new system, this new nutrition program that Autumn's going to cover tonight for us to kind of get our heads wrapped around this new program and how we're going to utilize it to grow our business. Like I've always said, I feel like our team is the 21-Day Fix team, later became the 80-Day Obsession team, and so we are going to blow this up, and I'm really excited. So before I turn it over to Autumn, just keep in mind that after Autumn jumps off our call, because I know she has a bunch of team calls that she's doing tonight, that we have a guest speaker coming on. Her name is Jahraus. She's a 2019 elite coach with an incredibly empowering message for you guys. So please don't jump off when Autumn jumps off. We're gonna stay on for about 30 minutes longer. So without further ado, I'm gonna turn it over to the one and only Autumn Calabrese to talk all things Ultimate Portion Fix.
Thank you so much. So happy to be on with you guys. And oh, is that? Hello, whoever the little one that is. So I'm so excited to be on with you guys, and Diesel Nation, you are my first call kicking off the promotion of Ultimate Portion Fix. So we are literally 4 weeks away from the launch for coaches. For the coaches, it will launch on March 4th. So just keep that in mind. And there's like so much to cover. I just want to make sure that I like take a deep breath and start at the beginning and hopefully hit it all. And as we go through it, I'll take questions towards the end. So I'm going to try to talk for about 30 minutes, leave about 10 or 15 for questions, and then allow you guys to get to your other guest speaker. So I think the biggest thing that I'm being asked right now from a lot of people is like, what's the difference with Ultimate Portion Fix compared to the containers and how you would use them with 21-Day Fix or Extreme or any other program that you've seen the containers with? And so here's what I want to say. The containers have been out for 5 years now. This February 11th is the 5-year anniversary of the launch of 21-Day Fix. And so there has been a lot that has changed over those 5 years. The same results and the same principles are still there, but there's been a lot of knowledge gained over the last 5 years. And right now it's sort of all spread out in all these different places, and I haven't really gone super in depth to any one area. And so the Ultimate Portion Fix is the culmination of the last 5 years of knowledge, watching people go through it, watching them use the programs in all these different ways, and then seeing the holes that were still missing that needed to be covered. So you will come across a lot of information in the program that you might already have heard of because you've done 21-Day Fix or Extreme or 80-Day Obsession. But by no means does that mean, if you've done one of those programs, that you already know exactly what's going to be in this program. I literally spent the last year and a half probably working on this harder. And the reason I say harder is because this is a lot different than just a fitness program. Here's the moves, we're gonna do them, press play. Like I really had to dig in deep for you guys about these different topics. So when you get the home program, because there's the home program and the CERT program, the home program has 6 different modules to it. I'm going to kind of do a broad overview, but I'm not going to go too deep into anything because obviously you guys got to get the program. That being said, so there's 6 modules. The first module is just the foundations of fix. So basically, what people don't realize is that there are 3 very specific scientific principles behind the container system. And no, I'm not going to tell you what they are. That's part of getting the program and watching the videos. But there are 3 main principles. And so I actually, for the first time in it, am really explaining to you guys what the foundation is behind these containers and what makes them work and why. So it's no longer just Autumn says fill up these rainbow containers and they work, which that does work. But for a lot of people, they need more. They need to know the why. They need to know the reason behind it. And that allows them to really dig in deeper and stick with it. When you just know, oh, Autumn says, and you don't really know why it's working for you, it's a little bit easier to veer away from it. So the Foundations of Fix is really going to cover the 3 main principles of the ultimate portion fix and the science behind the containers. And then we go into module 2. And module 2 is called Pick Your Path. And so in that module, I'm giving you 3 different paths that you can follow with the containers based on what your goals are, what your experience may have already been, and really just what you're looking to accomplish and for how long of a period it might take to accomplish that. So do you have 5 pounds to lose? Do you have 100 pounds to lose? Are you somebody who likes a really regimented plan, or are you somebody who needs a little bit more flexibility in your plan? And so I tell you what these 3 paths are, and then we go into pretty intense detail about like, great, here's how you're going to follow this path using the containers. And the beauty of that is that you can apply this with any workout program that there is, be it a Beachbody program, or if you're just a marathon runner, a triathlete, you're doing a Tough Mudder or something like that. You can apply it with any one of these programs, like anything. It's meant to be a lifestyle. It's meant to teach you nutrition that's for life, not just a diet. So that's really what these paths are about. And then we go into module 3, which is Containers 101, which is really how exactly do these containers work? And so for a lot of you, you're already going to have a pretty good handle on that. You guys are Beachbody coaches. There's probably a good chance you've already used the containers and you understand how to calculate your formula and you understand the food lists and things like that. But there are still plenty of people out there that don't know those things. And module 3 is like the meat and potatoes of how to use the containers, right? It's really important to make sure you follow the proper formula. It's really important to make sure you understand the food lists. It's really important to understand what are freebies, what are substitutions, how often can I have treats. These are things that have changed a little bit from the original 21-day fix. With 21-day fix, it was like you can have treats, you can have cheats 2 to 3 times a week, and it's wine or it's these couple things listed in the 21-day fix guidebook, right? Well, now we've got an entire cooking show filled with dessert recipes, filled with cocktail recipes. We've got people out there asking, what does this containerize as? What does that containerize as? And so the food list, we're taking a deeper dive into the food list. We're taking a deeper dive into being vegan and vegetarian, because while we've had that plan, I've never really taken a deep dive into how that works for everybody. It's sort of like, hey, you're vegan, here's the plan, follow it. But I've never spoken to it significantly. So I'll be speaking to it a lot in that module as well. Then we go into module 4, meal prep so you're prepped. And this is me really breaking it down in a couple different videos talking about meal prep. And again, you might think like, hey, I know how to meal prep, but so many people get hung up on meal prepping and like what that word means, and they see what's on Instagram and that people, have got these tables full of food and meals and containers, and that becomes very overwhelming to them for a lot of people that maybe aren't so type A about it like that. So I'm breaking it down into different ways that you can do meal prep, meaning prepping your food, but also different ways that you can meal plan for your day. So I do meal planning for beginners and meal planning advanced. And what that is like, are you a person who's brand new to this and you need to just like pick items off the food list and say like, here's my breakfast and here's my snack and here's my lunch? Or are you somebody who really likes to cook and maybe you want to dive into all these different fixate recipes and it's like, oh crap, did I plan accordingly to make sure I left the appropriate containers for each meal? So I really walk you guys through step by step how to do that so that you don't get to dinner wanting to make, enchiladas and you didn't leave containers for enchiladas, because there's a lot in that recipe. So we're going to cover meal prepping and all of that. And then we get into module 5, and module 5 is brand new. This is content you've never heard before, because module 5 is family fix. So for the first time ever, the containers have finally been containerized for our kids. Meaning, doesn't matter how old your kid is, it doesn't matter if they're a boy or a girl, you're gonna be able to use the charts that I have that says, hey, I've got a 10-year-old girl who's moderately active. How many containers a day does she get? Now, the difference with our kids program is that this is not a diet for kids. We're definitely not putting our kids on a diet. This is just healthy eating for our kids based on their age, their gender, and their activity level. And we've got to take that activity level into account, because while our kids seem like they're incredibly active, because I don't know about you, but mine does this a lot, right? It's all chatty. And so you're like, oh, you don't ever stop. But we have to really look at just how active they are. And so I'm walking you guys through that. But I'm also in this module really diving in with the grown-ups about how you talk about food and nutrition, not only to yourself, but in front of your kids, because they pick up on so much that we do, right? So if you're always talking about being on a diet, if you're always jumping from one diet to the next, if you're on the latest trend, if they see you stand in the mirror and judge your body, like, these are all things that subconsciously will spill over onto them and will start to have an impact on how they look at food, how they use food. If you're constantly rewarding them or comforting them with food, then that's what they learn. And these are habits we want to break now so that we really can start to end this obesity trend that is happening, especially with our kids. And we're, like I said, we're diving deep into this stuff. Like, this is not just scratching the surface. Like, I'm going in on it for you guys to make sure that we're no longer just doing that, keeping this shallow perspective. Like, we really need to get to the root of it, to why this is happening. So lots of things we're talking about there. Then we get into module 6, and module 6 is easy ways for special days. So over the years, you guys have asked me about, like, what do I do if I'm going on vacation? And what do I do if I'm going out to eat on the fix? And what do I do at holidays? And so I'm covering all of that stuff too, putting all that information into one place. Then I also have just an additional resources section where I'm covering, like, the performance line and what those containers are and why. And there's a video just for pregnant moms and nursing moms about how they find their formula and what they can do that allows them to follow the program safely. So that's the overview of the modules, okay? There's a couple of different pieces of material that you guys are gonna get no matter what program, or no matter what package you purchase. Challenge pack is the word I'm looking for. So the first one is your Ultimate Portion Fix workbook. So this workbook is gonna be, like, right by your side as you watch these videos. And you're gonna go through it because the workbook goes module by module. So, like, it's gonna have your wellness overview that you're gonna fill out before you ever start the program. And there's a reason for this. I want you guys to fill this out so you have a really good idea of, like, where's my nutrition at right now, day 0, before I ever start this program? How does my body feel? And then that's something you're gonna check in on every single week to say, like, am I making progress? Am I feeling better? Am I sleeping better? Is my energy higher? Maybe has my skin cleared up for the ladies? Are my menstrual cycles less intense? There's a lot of things we're gonna look at. We're gonna look at your day 0 eating. And this is gonna be really important for all of your challengers as well. And I'll get to that when I talk about the certification. But really writing down, like, what a typical day of food looks like for you before you start this program. What I have found, especially if you're not following a fitness program right now, is that people's food is all over the place. And while they think they're eating healthy, when you go back and look at this after watching the videos, you're gonna start to see where the mess ups are that maybe you didn't realize. One of the big topics I dive into in the program is food addiction and sugar addiction and emotional eating. We're going in hard on all 3 of those. and talking about the hidden sugars in our food and why you think you're eating healthy, but really you're not, and how to break that habit, how to break that cycle, which you can't break if you don't know. The biggest thing I want you guys to realize is that knowledge is power, and that is what Ultimate Portion Fix is giving you. It is giving you so much more knowledge about how these containers, these little rainbow containers, really do work for you. So as you go through the workbook, it's just going to go module by module. It'll say like module 2. It'll give you a little summary of what I'm talking about in the videos in that module. And you guys will go through it. There's going to be lots of different things like establishing your deep why for why you're doing this. Like I said, there's the stuff about the family fix, and we're going to talk about maneuvering the grocery store, both the perimeter and the aisles, tricky things to look out for when you're at the grocery store, how to get your kids eating more veggies without a fight. And obviously, I've got a 10-year-old, you guys, so I'm not just like spewing random thoughts. Like I'm a working case study here of like, how do I get this kid to eat a little bit better? And he's a fairly decent eater, but he's definitely had his moments. Okay, then you're also going to get your Ultimate Portion Fix daily logbook, okay? And this is going to be really important. So the workbook is more like that has your worksheets for as you go through the modules, but your daily logbook is what you're going to go through to track for a 30-day period what your experience is like. So what I should point out is with Ultimate Portion Fix, the program, it's a little bit different than a fitness program, right? You guys buy 21-day fix, and like the day you get it, you look at it and you can start, right? So with Ultimate Portion Fix, ideally, you're going through all of the videos and the workbook first, which should take you about a week and a half to 2 weeks, depending on how many videos a day you want to watch. There's probably about 6 hours of content. So you're going to go through the entire set of videos first, and then you're going to start using your containers, right? And we're basically tracking it on a 30-day period. So that, and the reason we're tracking 30 days, there's no end date to this, but we're tracking 30 days so that you have a start date and a sort of progress or a before and after photo, right? Like, okay, every 30 days, I'm checking my progress. That's how often we're checking our progress. Every 30 days is how often you would recalculate your formula if you need to recalculate, if you're losing weight, things like that. And some of the feedback I'm getting from the pilot group is about why it's working so well. And trust me, they're having like amazing success with the program. Today was the start of week 4, and I think the average amount of weight lost is like 7 to 10 pounds in the group. So by the end of 3 weeks, 7 to 10 pounds following the program. But one of the biggest things I'm hearing is the difference with this for them finally is that there really is no end date. That every time you buy a fitness program, there's an end date. So 80-day obsession, great, you're doing it for 80 days. There's an end date. Day 80 arrives, and technically that's the end of the program. 21-day fix, day 21 comes, and that's the end of the program. Where with Ultimate Portion Fix, they're quickly realizing like, oh, there's no end date. I don't actually stop. And that's, I think, what we see a lot with our challengers and with coaches is that you get to the end of the program and then you stop until you're ready to do the next program. And so with this, there is no stopping. There is no hard end date. Yes, you're going to check your progress every 30 days, but other than that, you're just going to keep going. So I'll just give you guys a quick glance at the logbook. There's some questions that you're going to answer at the beginning about, what do you need to do to reach your goals? What's your why? What are roadblocks? It's really the questions that are in here are meant to make you think. They're meant to make you really stop and do a little self-analyzing about where you're at, what you're missing, what's working, what you need more of. It's going to walk you through how to take your measurements so that you can do those, so that you have your day 1 and your day 30 measurements. And then it even gives you a place if you wanted to print out your 4-week progress pictures so you can just keep it instead of having to scroll through your phone always to be like, what do they look like? It gives you the top 1/3 of every food list. So you know how I tell you guys to always, eat the majority of your food from the top 1/3 of the list for the best results. So this book is meant, it's small, it's lightweight, it's meant so that it can travel with you. And then basically you have your morning mindfulness routine. There's a couple questions there I'm not going to tell you. And then there's your healthy habits page, so things that you're focusing on that day. And then there's your evening reflections page. So it's going to ask you a couple questions at the end of every night about how your day went so you can reflect back on it. Each week there's something to focus on. There's like a little thing that I've given you to focus on for that week in the program. And then it's just a setup so you can track your food. So you can track your food, you can track your water, you can track your Shakeology. And basically there's enough in here for 30 days. So you're gonna have your workbook and you're gonna have your logbook. And then again, depending on which challenge pack you purchase, you're also gonna get access to 75 healthy lunch ideas for kids. So I don't know if you guys remember me putting that out 2 years ago. I put that book out on, it was like a PDF, an ebook that I put out 2 years ago. It has since been moved over to Beachbody, and you guys will get access to that so that all that struggling with what to pack kids for their lunches that's healthy and that sort of thing is included. Yes, you will be able to order more workbooks and you will be able to order more logbooks. And then there's a new lunchbox coming out that you can potentially get depending on the challenge pack that you buy. So something that makes it really easy to just carry your food around and that sort of thing. And I spent a lot of time with that, really being like, no, this is the design I want. Like, I'm used to carrying a big old lunchbox with me all the time. I want something that's more compact and convenient to use. So there's that as well. And then, so that's kind of, okay. So that's like the home program, right? Now, there's also the certification that goes with Ultimate Portion Fix. And this, I have to say, I'm like even more excited about for you guys for a couple reasons. So let me take a deep breath again and focus so that I can start my thoughts off properly. So you have to get the home program in order to get the certification as well, because they go hand in hand. So you can't just buy the certification. You have to buy home program and cert. You don't necessarily have to buy them at the same time, but you do have to buy the home program first. So let's say maybe you just want to buy the home program for right now, and then you go through it and you're like, wow, this is really great. I want to buy the certification. You can go back in and buy the certification as well. But they go hand in hand. And what I mean by that is what you do is you watch home program video 1 and then you watch cert video 1. So basically it's like you watch what your challengers are hearing in home program, and then you come over to the cert video and you see how I break that down for you, the coach, where I'm like, okay, you saw me just tell them blah, 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 blah. So as a coach, what you want to guide them towards or what you want to reference or what they might struggle with, questions they might ask you include, and I really go through it with you guys. So every single video, basically, it's watch this and then watch the cert video. And it just dives even more into how you as a coach can guide someone through the Ultimate Portion Fix plan. And in addition to that, to the videos, I've given you guys more resources, so more worksheets and things like that, that you can, they're PDFs, they're in the resources section, they'll be in the resources section on Beachbody On Demand. So you can download them if you want, you can print them if you want, you can share them in your challenge group. But let's say you've got somebody in there that's really struggling for whatever reason with coming up with their deep reason why. I have another worksheet that only coaches have access to that you can then give to them that can ask them more questions to really dig in to what's going on in their life. Or there is a food and feelings deep dive. There is which that's really talking about like how you use food to cope with emotions. There's a clarity and actions worksheet that's pretty detailed. And that's really getting clarity on where you're at and then action steps that you can take to sort of overcome obstacles that you might be having with your food, with your nutrition, with your fitness, things like that. So it's really giving you guys a lot of tools to make sure that your challengers can't really fail if they're doing the work. so that you feel really armed to talk about all of this stuff and to run Ultimate Portion Fix Challenge groups. And the way I see it, so when I designed this program, this is how I kind of see the Ultimate Portion Fix certification. So Ultimate Portion Fix cert is to coaches like 21 Day Fix was to you guys. And what I mean by that is when 21 Day Fix came out, the biggest thing I've heard for 5 years from you guys as coaches is that is the #1 program I always start people with. I always start people with 21 Day Fix. There's the modifier. They're only 30 minutes. It has the containers. They understand nutrition. That's what I start them with. So Ultimate Portion Fix is to a new coach what 21 Day Fix was to a new challenger. All your new challengers, 21 Day Fix, right? All your new coaches, brand new coach, brand new to the business, green as can be, doesn't know what they're doing yet. The first thing you have them do is get Ultimate Portion Fix certified. And there's a reason for that. Obviously, the containers go with all the fitness programs we have, right? So a new coach should have a really good handle on how the container system works. In addition to that, though, other resources that I'm providing you guys in the Ultimate Portion Fix cert is social media training and specific social media training. What I mean by that is social media training where we take topics from Ultimate Portion Fix and use them to create an Instagram story or an Instagram invite or Facebook invite or whatever it might be. So saying, here, we talked about hidden sugars in video 5. Now let's go create an Instagram story where we can invite people using this information. And I walk you step by step through. Here's the 10 slides you create, and here's the call to action at the end. And once you do that call to action, here's how you need to follow up to make sure you, the coach, get new challengers. So there's that. And then there's also the challenge group guide. And I know we always give a challenge group guide with the home program, and there will be one with this home program. But I wrote the challenge group guide for the certification. So basically, hey, you're a new coach or you're a coach who doesn't have to be a new coach. Here's how you specifically can run an Ultimate Portion Fix challenge group. And remember, you can put Ultimate Portion Fix with any fitness program coming out. So you can put it with Transform 20. You can put it with Morning Meltdown. You can put it with 21 Day Fix, any of them. But basically, like, here's how you're going to run this Ultimate Portion Fix group. And it's everything from what you do 3 weeks before the group even launches and how to invite and breadcrumb and tease posts and things like that to pique people's interest, to getting people into your group, to a sample post of every single day for 30 days about what you can be asking them, what you guys can be talking about, so that you keep the conversation going in your challenge group. Because the more engaged people are and the more they buy in and they stick with the program, the more success they're going to have, and the more success they have, the more success you have, because they become your walking business card. So there's a lot of training that's happening in the certification. There's one more component to the certification, which is going to be the real, like, coup de grace, like, bang for you guys. And that is the Master Series. So in addition to the certification, we have continuity, which is the Master Series. There's new content that will go live in the Master Series every single month. And we've been working on that already. So there will, April will be the first month of the Master Series. Master Series $19.99 a month to be a member of it. And you will get everything from more new social media training to different themes for challenge groups and how to run a challenge group based on that particular theme. And there, you know, we've already brainstormed tons of those of, like, you can run a theme about this and, you know, about food and feelings or traveling, you know, when it's the summer. Like, there's a bunch of different ones. We will have guest speakers and interviewers, different people that I will bring on to talk to about different topics. What else are we covering in the Master Series? If at any point I use the containers in a new way and create a new pack, that will go into the Master Series. That's where you will learn about it. And then with the Master Series, you can basically achieve levels. So anybody that stays on the Master Series 12 months in a row, becomes master coach level 1. You stay on for 24 months in a row, you now get the badge of master coach level 2, and so on and so forth. So for every 12 months you stay a part of the master series and continue your education, you get leveled up. And what I mean by that is you'll get a badge sent to you, like an e-badge that you can put on your website, you can put on social media. Can you get a ribbon for summon for that? Maybe. I didn't even think of that, but that's a great idea. I will ask. And that would probably, the first one you'd be able to get would be, I guess, next summit, because you got to, like I said, you got to stay on it for 12 months straight. So the master series is going to be there to keep answering questions. Anything that you guys have that comes up, there will be question and answers every single month based on different topics. So there's going to be a ton of information going into the master series as well. So I'm really excited about that. And I will tell you guys, when Carl actually presented the master series idea for me, or to me, it was really funny. Called me in his office and he's got like this huge whiteboard in his office. And the whiteboard was like covered in black, whiteboard marker, literally one end to the other. And he's like, okay, I got to break it down for you. I'm so excited about the master series. And I was like, okay, great. Like, go ahead. And he walked through this whole thing for me about the financial opportunity for you guys from being on the master series. I'm not going to try to reiterate what he said because it was very detailed, and he's actually going to do that in a video for you guys for the first month of master series in April. But it was quite impressive, and it comes out to 6 figures more a year from staying on the master series and just getting 10 people a month into an ultimate portion fix group. So it's really like there's so much stuff that's going on around it. Now, I've covered the home program, I've covered the cert, so let's talk about 21 Day Fix and Fix Extreme and the live filming of that really quick. So yes, we're refilming 21 Day Fix and refilming 21 Day Fix Extreme. They will still be 30 minutes in length. They will both still have a modifier, and they will both have the same 7 themes of a workout, right? Lower fix, upper fix, dirty 30, cardio, total body cardio, yoga, and Pilates. It'll still have all those. But where it's going to change up just a tiny little bit, not a lot, because I don't want to venture too far away from the original program that people love. But because we're filming it in real time, it gives me the opportunity to do what I did with 80 Day Obsession, which is to change it ever so slightly week to week, to keep you guys off that fitness plateau, to keep pushing you just a little bit harder. So I've gone in, I'm working with Stephanie Saunders, our fitness expert at Beachbody. We actually just started working on it this past week, making tiny little tweaks. Like, okay, how can we push them just a hair harder on this move in week 2 and in week 3? Or how do we adjust it here and how do we adjust it there? And then same thing for 21 Day Fix Extreme. And what I'm really excited about is I'm looking forward to bridging the gap a little bit between Fix and Fix Extreme. I think there's a big jump in intensity level between 21 Day Fix and 21 Day Fix Extreme. So what I get to do is push you just a tiny bit harder in 21 Day Fix in week 3, and then I can actually dial it back just a hair in Fix Extreme in week 1 to just sort of bridge that gap so it doesn't feel like, oh my God, what just happened when you get into Fix Extreme. Now, how do you get access to the live filming of that? Well, you got to buy Ultimate Portion Fix. So for coaches, Ultimate Portion Fix, like I said, it goes on sale for you guys March 4th. So as long as you buy Ultimate Portion Fix from March 4th to March 30th, you will have access to the filming of 21 Day Fix and 21 Day Fix Extreme. If you don't buy by then, if you don't buy by March 30th, you will eventually get access to it, but it won't be, I think it won't go into the member library until May. Don't hold me on the date, but it's like a month or so after, maybe 2 months after, maybe it's June. It doesn't go into the member library until like a month or 2 after we've filmed it. So if you want to be a part of it, you got to buy Ultimate Portion Fix in the month of March. And then, like I said, it goes on sale for the general public March 18th. So if they buy between March 18th and March 30th, they also will have access to the group. Now, I'm going to be running a couple of different coach groups for all of this. So I'm running a certification group only. And in that certification group for the coaches, we will literally be talking all about Ultimate Portion Fix Cert. I'll be taking you guys through it, answering any questions that you guys might have, like, hey, you mentioned this, like, how do I work with a challenger about that sort of thing. So that group will be going on for you guys. And then I will also have the Ultimate Portion Fix / 21 Day Fix / 21 Day Fix Extreme group. So that group is not certification oriented at all. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to get in that group and listen to what Autumn has to say about cert, I will not talk about cert at all in that group. I will direct you to purchase the cert and come join me in the other group. But so I will have those two separate groups going. One is the cert group, just talking you guys all the way through how to go through this certification, how to get your group set up and answering any questions you have. And then also the Ultimate Portion Fix / 21 Day Fix group as well, to take you guys through the workouts and the nutrition. And I'm not going to give you guys the dates. I'm going to wait for Beachbody to lay those dates out because there's just a lot of them. And the reason for that is, like I said, the goal is to go through the videos first before you actually start using the containers. So we got to get you into the group and watching the videos like 2 weeks before we start the filming of 21 Day Fix, so that by April 1st, you've already gone through the home program videos so that you can start using your containers with the filming of 21 Day Fix. So I know that's a lot of information for you guys, and I see that there's a lot of questions, so I'm going to like scroll up here a little bit and check out some of these questions from all of you. And keep posting if you would like to, if you have questions. I just want to see what's going on. Okay. I want to get my certification in nutrition so I can help more people. Great. Why won't this let me scroll down? Yeah, guys, don't jump off yet. I'm going to take some questions, and you guys have somebody else coming on. Okay. Oh, my God. Why isn't it? Christina, if you have any questions specifically that you've seen people asking that you want to ask me, if you want to unmute yourself.
So I saw a lot of excitement, not a lot of questions, because you did a good job explaining it. The one question, though, that it did come up twice, and if you want to address it, you can. If not, I can, which is, what is the fundamental difference between Ultimate Portion Fix and 2B Mindset?
Here's the thing, you guys. I mean, you can really just sort of look at the two and recognize the difference. Obviously, 2B Mindset doesn't have containers for measuring things out. 2B Mindset has its own version of portion control in terms of how she says, you know, this percentage of your plate gets filled with veggies and this percent gets filled with your protein. But for a lot of people, telling them to do fractions on their plate gets a bit challenging for them, or you know, they're eyeballing it and they're like, yeah, that's 25% of my plate. Whereas the containers are definitely much more specific. You fill your container, you need to be able to get that lid on. This is how many times a day you can have it. This is how many times a week you can have treats. If you're following this path, if you're following that path. I honestly, here's what I will tell you guys. I have yet to look at anything to be mindset, and I did that for a very specific reason. In the development process of Ultimate Portion Fix and diving deeper into this, I wanted this to be completely just from my mind, what I wanted you guys to have, and I didn't want to be influenced one way or another by what Alana has created. I'm sure it's amazing, but I just didn't want to have certain things in my mind, because then if you're speaking, you know, you've heard something from somebody else and you sort of say it the same way, then it sounds like you're just copying their information. So I have not watched any of her videos or anything like that, just to make sure that Ultimate Portion Fix stayed as pure as possible. But yeah, there is a pretty big difference in terms of the containers, how the containers work, even the way you're tracking. You know, I know obviously for Alana, you're tracking everything you eat, and that's the same with Ultimate Portion Fix. It always has been, but you're really just tracking your containers, right? And you shouldn't be eating anything that's not being accounted for in your containers. So you're really tracking a lot. And sometimes it makes it easier to just be like, I had a red, I had a yellow, I had a green, instead of like, I had steak, I had broccoli. I had and then obviously, the one other thing that's coming out, oh my gosh, I almost forgot to mention it, was Fixate Volume 2, the brand new cookbook, will also be a part of it. So there's 102 brand new recipes in there, vegan, vegetarian, paleo, gluten-free. So just lots and lots of new information and materials for you guys.
Okay, one more question there was about the app. Is there going to be an updated app?
Eventually, yes, but right now, you will still be able to track containers in the My Challenge Tracker app, but that app is being worked on. Obviously, our technology, it takes a little bit longer because there's so many things that get affected when we go in and adjust something. So eventually, the My Challenge Tracker app will be updated to where when you log in, you will literally be able to say like what path you're on, if your goal is weight loss or maintenance, and it'll do all the calculations for you. It'll spit out your containers. When you're doing time nutrition, it'll show you which containers are supposed to pair together, but that won't be at launch. It just takes is so much programming. So unfortunately it won't be at launch. I'm hoping that it's within the first 6 months to a year. But the beauty is that you can still use it to track. It's just, you'll put in, I get 4 greens a day, I get 3 reds a day, however many, and then you'll mark it off.
All right, awesome. And then one, I think, question that you can answer pretty quick is, are the paths with the container system going to be based on your fitness goals?
The beauty is you can use any one of the 3 paths for any of your fitness goals, but depending, one path might be more appropriate than the other one, and you'll realize that very quickly as I'm explaining it in the videos, like, oh, this is my goal. This is really the path I belong on. I did see somebody ask, you can do this while pregnant and nursing. You always want to check with your physician, but yes, there is a formula for pregnancy. There is a formula for nursing because it's not a diet really, you guys. It's fueling your body for health. And so as long as you're eating enough calories when you're pregnant and when you're nursing, you're getting a really great balance of macronutrients, of lean protein, carbohydrates, and healthy fats. So I'd be shocked if a physician wasn't okay with it. Yeah.
Awesome. And then one last question from me. Do you talk about Shakeology and how because you talked about the performance line?
Yes.
Talk about how Shakeology is incorporated through Ultimate Portion Fix.
Yes. So there's a supplements video in the home program as well as a deeper dive in the cert video. And I literally cover all of our supplements. So I cover Shakeology, Daily Sunshine, the beach bars, and the entire performance line. And then again, if any new supplements were to come out over the years, that information would go into Master Series. Okay. So like, oh, we've got a new supplement coming out. Like, check all out, here's my whole spiel about it in the Master Series.
Okay, awesome. Well, I know you got to go. I know you have other calls tonight, but thank you so much. I know this, since we're call number 1, which I feel so honored that Diesel Nation got that position, hopefully maybe towards closer to launch time, we can invite you back and maybe do a call not only with our coaches, which by the way, this was a record-breaking call for us. We hit over 300 at the height of the call, so great job, Diesel Nation, but that we can invite our customers too. The ones that the ones that are ready for Ultimate Portion Fix, that want to join us for the live filming of 21 Day Fix and Fix Extreme, which I'm so excited about. And we can educate them more on getting involved and becoming coaches and spreading this gem of a program that you're about to launch for us. So
yes. Let me just tell you one more thing. This is what I would say for you guys that are sort of like, who is it for, right? It's for everybody, but you can really target 3 big buckets, and that should sort of help pull everybody in. So you can target people that are emotional eaters, right? And we're really going in, and like I said, there's a lot of worksheets and things like that to really go into solving this problem, or at least helping with it for emotional eating. Somebody who feels they are dealing with sugar addiction, that's a big one. I can't tell you how many people I interviewed for when we were sort of doing this little test group for Beachbody. I saw 200 people, and almost every person that sat down in front of me said they had sugar addiction. I didn't even ask the question, and they were like, well, I'm sort of just addicted to sugar. At night I sit down and I can't give it up, and I eat the entire bag of candy and da 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 da. So emotional eating, sugar addiction, families, like how to use the containers, obviously with your kids or getting your whole family involved on the fix. That's always been a massive question. And then another big one is how to use the containers to increase performance level. And I don't just want to say sports, I just want to say performance in general. We've got tons of Beachbody coaches that are still looking to improve their performance with any workout program that they're doing. So really how to fuel your body for that. I think those are some really big buckets that as you start to put out your feelers and your breadcrumbs, these are things that you can start sort of using as marketing tools. Are you an emotional eater? Are you looking to get a handle on it? Are you struggling with sugar addiction? Are you looking to get a handle on it? Do you want to know how to feed your kids better without fighting that battle every night? So those are your big buckets.
Awesome. We can't wait. Any year that we get Autumn launching something, it's always a great year. So.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, I know you're getting ready for NLC, all these calls, and maybe coming to Miami next week.
I am. I'm coming to see you.
Like that's happening. So have a great night, Autumn. Thank you so very much. Diesel Nation, stay on the call.
Yes. Thank you guys. Have a great night, and I'll talk with you all soon. Bye.
Bye, Autumn. All right, you guys, what an awesome first call of February with Autumn. And now, let me just say, before I turn it over to Jessica and introduce her, I know she's on, I saw her name, that she was listening to Autumn's call with us, that this is still early on in the process with Ultimate Portion Fix, right? We cannot start selling anything Ultimate Portion Fix until March. So what we do now is continue the grind in February, continue Team Cup. Obviously, we just started Team Cup. We were inspired by Becky today on our Diesel Nation Rising page to dig in and coach our own way. If you didn't hear it, listen to it, because it's really going to give you and arm you with that confidence to go out and do this your way and stop seeking approval or comparing yourself to anyone else, and just helping people and doing it in a way that fulfills you and gets you excited. And what a perfect message for Team Cup. So we want you to exceed your goals for Team Cup. We want to have everybody advancing in rank and hitting Success Club and thinking about Ultimate Portion Fix. Right? We will, like we always do, if those of you who are new to the team, you'll experience this for the first time. But as we head into every single launch, we create what we refer to as a launch plan, where we put our heads together and say, okay, this is all the information you need to know about this new program. This is how we would position it. This is what you can do to attract people to it. And how cool that they're going to be helping us in the Master Series with like posts and stuff like that. I struggle with like talking about nutrition on social media, and they're going to help us do that. I think it's brilliant. Anyway, we still got a lot of work to do in February, and it's Team Cup. And so let's dig in and make our goals this month a reality, so that as we head into March and April with this program launching, that your businesses are in an upward trajectory, right? Get that momentum behind you and push forward. Okay, Jessica, are you on? Can you unmute yourself for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, she's on. There she is. All right, you guys, I'm just going to quickly introduce Jessica because I just need to let her tell her story. She's got one of the most impactful and inspirational stories of triumph, of challenge and triumph that I think I've ever heard in the network, and I want her to share that with you guys tonight. But Jessica is a superstar diamond coach in her first business center. She's a one-star diamond in her second business center. She's a 2019 elite coach, which I think that's going to be part of her story tonight, and how her team came together to make that dream a reality. But she's been in, check this out, in Success Club 10. She's obviously a legend, but in Success Club 10 since her first month of coaching. She has always been in Success Club, rain or shine, hardship or not. She shows up to her business. So without further ado, I'm going to put her on speaker view, and Jessica, just take it away.
Oh, you guys, well, first off, thank you so much for having me. I absolutely adore you as a leader, and I absolutely adore your team. You guys are always just doing incredible things. So thank you so much for having me on. Hey. So by the way, if you guys ask questions in the chat, I'm really bad at looking at that when I'm talking, but afterwards I'll make sure to get to them for sure. So tonight I just really want to share kind of like what Christina was talking about, just talk about, hardship, challenges, and also triumph and victory. And that's really just my story as a whole, and I'll kind of get to that. But, I just want to share with you, really it's called Fearless Faith. I want to talk about being fearless. One of the reasons is because my team is called the Fearless Empire. And when I think of being fearless, I don't know about you guys if you have kids, but I have a 5-year-old son and a 2-year-old little girl. And my kids are scary fearless. My son, if you ask him what he wants to be when he grows up, he will tell you that he is going to be Spider-Man. He's going to be in the NFL. He is going to be a firefighter and a cop. And he's also, going to do something with basketball. And it's so cool because he truly, truly believes that he's going to do all of those things. And, it occurred to me the other day as I was talking to him and he was writing this thing for school, how amazing it is when we're younger. We have all these hopes and these dreams, and we literally do not doubt that any of it could happen. And then as we start to get older, we start to let these fears, these doubts kind of sink in and just kind of tell us that maybe some things aren't quite possible. Not that like any of us are going to be Spider-Man, but at the end of the day, there's some really big things that we can do. And the number one thing that I see hold people back is fear. And so I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background of me as a coach, just really quickly. I basically went to a Super Saturday as a customer. I was a customer. I'd lost about 20 pounds with, speaking of Autumn, 21-day fix. And I went to a Super Saturday. I really just wanted to try the group workout. That was it. I was a gym junkie, but I had taken on the 21-day fix. So I thought, hey, group workout, sweet. So I went, and my mentor now, Lindsay Stay, was speaking. And she was talking, and her story inspired me. And I sat there and I thought, dang, if this girl can do it, I can do it, right? Like, why not? And I just remember her being a 7-star diamond coach at the time, and I had no idea what that was. But I sat there and I thought, if I do this business, I'm going to be a 7-star diamond coach. And I realize now that I instilled belief into myself before I was even a coach. I had decided that if I was going to do this, I didn't know what 7-star meant, but I felt like it was very successful and I was going to go for that. And so I prayed over this opportunity. I was a worship director at the time. And I loved my job, but I had a little boy that couldn't say much at 1 year old, but he could say no church, no church. And he felt like I was constantly at the church and he just wasn't getting a lot of my time. And so I was praying for an opportunity to make him my number one ministry. And so God provided with Beachbody. And so I remember the first time that I was on the phone with a customer. Guys, I was up leading worship in front of 1,000 people on a weekly basis. I connected with people. I've always loved connecting with people. I've always loved building relationships. And I remember getting on the phone with somebody for the first time and I was shaking. I was not fearless. I was full of fear, but I was fearless in my action. And what I've learned through my coach journey is that no matter what I'm going through, no matter what comes at me, I can be fearless in my action. It doesn't take talent to show up, right? So basically this past year, first off, I guess I should say I grew very, very fast, almost too fast for my own good, as in I learned a lot through a lot of mistakes. I went diamond in 24 days. I went 2-star in 6 months. I was 7-star in 9 months. I was 10-star in a year and 15-star in 23 months. It just went boom. And it sounds like it went like this, but I'm going to be honest, it didn't. There was lots of ups and downs. I learned a lot the hard way at times by just not knowing some things. But it was definitely my calling to be a coach. And so I went 15-star in 2016, and then 2017 hit, and all of a sudden I had some diamond coaches. I had some star diamond coaches making over $1,000 a week go to some other companies. And they were some of my absolute best friends. And just because, you're not coaching together doesn't mean you can't be good friends, but there's just a difference when you're together daily and you're a tribe and you're working towards common goals together. There's just a sisterhood, as you guys know, right? And it was hard. It was so hard to see people that I love leave my team, and not for any other real reason except for this like shiny new penny. And I do want to say this, guys, something I learned through that, because now I look at all of those people and I love them and I want the best for them, but none of them are at the company that they left for. None of them stayed with those other companies. And if I learned anything, it's to prosper where you're planted. Through this journey, through coaching, there are going to be ups and downs. There's going to be season of harvest and season of desert. It doesn't mean that means that you just get up and leave, because the only way that you will for sure fail in this business is if you quit. If you can stay the road and conquer longevity, you can be successful. So I went through that in 2017, and then in October, it kind of felt like my whole life fell apart. I think that if you, I think a lot of people would look at it and think, wow, she lost everything. I bought my dream home at the beginning of 2017. I was so proud of that because of coaching. I had my daughter February 1st, 2017. She just turned 2. And I had lost 22 pounds with Shift Shop, being in that test group. And so basically in my whole coaching career, I'd lost about 60 pounds. It was just, I felt like just on top of the world. You know, the one thing I will say that was hard again was losing some coaches and that kind of thing. Well, then October came around. And, you know, I'm just going to be really vulnerable and really honest with you guys. I knew something was a little off with my spouse. I don't think you can't know if something just feels off. I mean, my spouse was my best friend, but something had been not right for a while. And I could tell, but, you know, it was a feeling. There was nothing that I could see right in front of my face. It was just a feeling. And so I prayed over it. I asked God to reveal it to me. And if you're the praying kind, I encourage you to do that over your business as well. But I just couldn't figure it out. And then on October 11th, I'll never forget that day, I realized that my spouse had a whole other identity. I got basically a letter in the mail, and I found driver's license with a different name, a different birth date, a different address, everything. And it all just kind of came out from there. I found throughout giving all these details, I found out multiple affairs. You know, I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I was perfect, because nobody is, but I prayed over my marriage daily. I had hopes and dreams for a united family front. And this was nothing that I could have imagined. It was nothing that I was, you know, that I had caused, nothing I would have chosen. It was the card I was dealt. And I just, you know, through that process of finding things out, I had to confront him on that, and it resulted in a restraining order. I went to leadership in 2017 with a restraining order. Just heartbroken, truly, truly heartbroken. I felt like I had lost my best friend. And I was in and out of court almost every month, and then every other month. I racked up $100,000 in attorney fees. I lost a chunk of my business because my husband was on my top weak leg, and my second business center was built on his weak leg, and all of a sudden all those paychecks were gone, and it was just, you know, and I had some people leave my team, and all of a sudden I found myself, I had been in this, like, just to be honest, it's even hard to talk about, but I had been in what I would call financial freedom. I had been debt free, and I was, you know, I'd bought my dream home, and then all of a sudden I was $100,000 in attorney fees in debt. I mean, I just felt like, what happened? Like, how could this happen? And I'm going to be honest with you guys. There are moments when I wanted to throw in the towel. Like, I promise you that there were days when I did not want to show up. I did not want to post. I did not want to pour into a team. I didn't want to do this. But all of a sudden, I was a single mom. And I knew that this was the answer. This was not the time to pull away from my business. This was the time to pour in, because this was my answer to being able to be the single mom that doesn't have to work 3 jobs, to be the single mom that could be there for my kids. I volunteered almost daily at one point in my son's preschool classroom, just so that I could be with him, just so that he could have a mom that was present when his dad was just gone. And so I poured in, and what I realized is that, like I said, it doesn't take talent to show up. And I could be fearless in my belief in what this could be, and I could be fearless in my action. So every single one of us has 24 hours in a day. Nobody has an advantage of time. We all know that. Maybe not everybody is in a courtroom. Maybe not everybody is dealing what I was dealing with, but it didn't change the fact that I had an opportunity to do whatever I needed to do to use every 24 hours to my advantage. I built my business working 50 hours a week outside the home, and I knew that I could do it again. So even though I wasn't working outside the home, it felt like so many things were just around me. There was so much chaos, but I believed that God had landed Beachbody in my lap for a purpose, and I needed to take full advantage of it. So I would get up early, I would go to bed late, and I would work as much as I could. I remember driving to court, and I remember literally selling challenge packs on the phone, driving to court. And I know number one thing I want to say is that I didn't make this an idol. Trust me, my kids were my number one priority. There was some nights when I did cancel calls, and I just went to bed with my son because he needed mommy. And I will never regret that. But at the end of the day, my kids are my reason to succeed, not my excuse to fail. And I see so many coaches just quit for so much less when they're just at the point where they could really see greatness, and then they quit. And it's because they feel like they can't manage their time well enough, or they can't do this. But guys, where there's a will, there's a way. And when you want to get something out of this, you absolutely can. And so I poured in, and I gave it my all. And you know what? It wasn't what I could give when I was going 15-star, but I could give my all to the point where I could hit SC10 every month, and I could show up every day. And it actually helped me. Instead of going into a deep depression, I had purpose. And it wasn't only my children, it was for challengers, it was for people that were following me, that I knew I had a responsibility to share what helped me lose weight and feel good in my skin. And to be honest, I can't gain weight very easily. I am literally working out and eating healthy so I don't get that muffin top. I mean, that is truly who I am. And at the end of the day, I maybe didn't lose any more weight last year than I kind of plateaued. But with the stress I was under, I am so thankful that I didn't gain any. And I look at that as a win. And now I can continue on with that journey knowing that those stress levels are down, but dang it, I am so proud of that, you know? And so as the year went on, more pieces to the puzzle that I thought were done and out there started to come together. And I realized that as I was going through mediation, I found out that there was credit cards that were in my name even that I didn't know existed. I thought we had been debt free and there was all this money, and because I made 95% of our income with Beachbody, I ended up having to take on most of that debt, which seemed so unfair, right? Like I worked the hardest and yet I had to take on all that debt. So I took on most of the debt, and I did most of that in exchange too for more parenting time. After 4 months, the judge released the restraining order with direct rules on how that would all be placed, but they did release it. And so I had to learn how to co-parent with somebody that I was completely afraid of. And it was scary. My kids were afraid of him. It was awful. And I also had this debt that I didn't even know existed. I had to pay for. In the midst of that, I found out I had to get, in April, I found out I had to get a double mastectomy and reconstruction surgery, which is probably the most emotional. I thought this was the most emotional thing. Guys, this is probably the most emotional thing, is to like be a woman and know that my mom died 10 years ago from breast cancer. I found out that I had a 50% chance of getting the exact same kind of cancer that she passed away from. And it is the most aggressive form of breast cancer. There's all these new DNA tests that they can do. And basically I decided to do it while I was still on his health insurance, because after that I would be on my own health insurance. And it was 100% paid for. And I didn't feel like, even though I had a 1-year-old, and I wouldn't be able to lift her. I wouldn't be able to hold her for like 4 to 6 weeks. I had to do it. And so I went in and I got that done. And I just remember coming home on Mother's Day weekend and just being like, just crying my eyes out because I just wanted to hold my baby girl and I couldn't. And I remember my dad stayed for like 2 weeks. And then after that, I had to rely on neighbors to drive me places to get, I thank God for grocery delivery, right? But I had to drive places. I had to have neighbors come over and help me bathe my kids. I mean, talk about being humbled, right? I felt like I just felt like I had lost it all. But that same month, May, I say this because I want it to encourage you. May 2nd, the To Be Mindset program launched. And I had done my prep work. I had worked hard. And on May 9th, I had my double mastectomy. Between May 2nd and May 9th, and I'm not exaggerating, I hit SC54. And it was all from the work that I did, going into the To Be Mindset, understanding that there was a need for this, understanding that I had a market for this and I needed to give it everything I had. And so I did, and I set up appointments so that before the launch even happened, I had people ready to do this. And so I say that not to be like, look at me, but more of just like, guys, there's a way to do this business no matter where you're at, no matter how hard you're working outside the home right now, or what your circumstances are, you can do this. And so I went on and continued to work as hard as I could. And then in June at Summit, I found out my divorce was finalized. So that was an emotional summit. It was also the first year that I had not been an elite coach. And I lost elite in 2017 by 4 points. And to be honest with you, I gave it all I had. I won't say that I didn't. I gave it all I had. My team gave it what we could. It just wasn't, I couldn't give any more than that. And so it was such a bummer to lose that by 4 points. But it just, needless to say, it was a hard summit. It was a hard summit. It was hard to go not be elite. It was hard to go and have my divorce finalized there. But it just made me want even more. And then in July, the biggest bomb was dropped on me. I found out from my son, who had just turned 5 in April. I found out from him that there was another girl there with daddy, another little girl there that was calling him daddy. And that was extremely confusing. And I saw a picture of her. I hired a private investigator, and I figured out on my own terms that was his daughter. And through private investigation, I learned that he had a whole nother family while we were married. So his fake identity was what his other family was under. It was under his other name, all of it. And my heart broke all over again. I mean, if it wasn't broken the first time, when I went to court and I testified against him for that restraining order, I was still in love with him. He was 2 feet away from me. I was still in love with this man. I still wanted something out of it. It was actually him who had kind of pushed for the divorce, and man, am I thankful now. But it was just like, man, like I didn't ask for this. Like, I didn't want to be a part-time parent. I was faithful. I would have never imagined, like, seriously, right? Like, you think about this, like, I'm just trying to run one business. I'm just trying to live one life. I cannot imagine trying to do 2, but I knew that something was not right? Something that is beyond. And so I went to my attorney, and I just thought, I don't know how to co-parent with this man. I don't know what to do, but I figured out from looking through thousands of bank statements that basically the debt that I took on, remember those credit cards that I didn't know why they were in my name? It was to pay for this other family. And so I was going to sue him for fraud on the court for never coming clean about it, and fraud on my finances. And through all that time, I felt like, well, this is going to be weird, but I felt like I was supposed to move to Florida. Felt like God was telling me I was supposed to move to Florida. The reason is because my father lives here. He's a widower, and he adores my kids, and he is an amazing dad and the closest family member that I have. And I felt like God kept on telling me I was going to move to Florida, but honestly, it was illegal. Like I couldn't just up and move. I was co-parenting. I can't do that. And so I just said, God, if I'm supposed to move to Florida, I lived in Minnesota, by the way, so pretty much as far away in the country as you can get. So I just said, if I'm supposed to move to Florida, let it be his suggestion, because there was a need for control on his side of things. And I just said, let it be his suggestion. And so I met with him because he asked me to, with the whole fraud thing going on. And he admitted everything and just said, what do you want? And I said, I just need to be away from you. I don't trust you. I think that you don't know how to be a good dad. And I think you need some help. And he said, okay, so why don't you move to Florida? And I knew in that moment that I was supposed to go. He still wanted me to pay him thousands of dollars, which, by the way, I did not do. Because in that moment, I knew that this was my destiny. And so 2 days later, I flew to Florida, and I enrolled my son in school out of faith. I had no agreement. I enrolled my son in school. I made plans to move, and by the time I left Florida that week, I had papers signed, and I was going. And so I looked at that, and that happened in August. So I finally got settled in August, September. I sold my house in 6 days. God is so good. So in 6 days, I sold my house. I made a good profit on it, which really, really helped that whole debt thing. And I just, I moved down to Florida with 4 suitcases. I still have a storage unit with all of my furniture and everything up in Minnesota. And I moved across the country and just lifted my hands and said, I surrender. I am done. I will just go. I will be obedient. I will start a new life. And I'm going to continue to do this coach thing that has been this staple for me. And, it's pretty amazing when you can move across the country in that amount of time, basically a week. And I moved across the country, and I had no job change. The only thing that changed in my office view is now, instead of looking at snow in the wintertime, I'm looking at a pool. I'm okay with that. So, it's just like, dang, this can happen. So then I was all settled, and I went to leadership in October. And Lindsay Stay, who was sitting in a car with me, and she said, so are you pushing for elite? And this is the first time in my business that I questioned that. I thought to myself, I just said out loud, like, it's just been such a crazy year, and I kind of found myself making excuses, and I'm not one to do that. And I thought, I don't, okay. So I quick looked up my points, and I had points. I had some points, but my recruiting game was not what it once was. And I had 0 diamonds, and I had not nearly enough points. And I looked at her and I said, yeah, I'm going for elite. And in that moment, I made this decision, like, okay, I'm going to go for this. And I came back to my team and I said, guys, this is a team effort. You can't go elite by yourself. And honestly, it's about us being an elite team. Do we want to do this? And they said, absolutely. And so we went all in, and still I had no idea where those points were going to come from. I didn't know where the diamonds were going to come from. In November, in the end of November, I did a sneak peek. In that sneak peek, I signed up 2 new business coaches, not 50, not 10, not 5, 2. So signed up 2 coaches, and one of them on December 20th popped diamond, as well as another coach. So in less than 30 days, she went diamond. So did another coach. And on December 31st at 5 p.m., we had exactly 105 elite points and became an elite 2019 elite team. And I still hearing it, I get this weird emotion. I always feel like I'm going to cry, and then I don't quite cry, but it's just oh my gosh, it just felt like everything, all of this crap, for lack of a better term, all just kind of came together. And I felt like God was saying, this is the beginning of the newness. This is the beginning of the victory. This is the beginning of the restoration. Trust me, I've got this. And I just felt like, yes. And it put so much faith in this business. If I didn't have it already, I had it. And trust me, if I can do that, if God can use me to do that, anybody can. Because as you can see, I'm just a big hot mess. like this is a crazy, crazy life. And so I poured into it, and I made this list because I was really, really thinking about how everything just kind of came together through my coach journey. And please hear this. This is not a pity party list. This is a list to inspire. But I just want to see you guys raise your hands for just a moment. Raise your hands if I can see you. And I want you to do me a favor. I'm going to read this list to you. And when you hear something that you can relate to, go ahead and put your hand down. Okay? So if you have ever had 60 pounds or more to lose while you've been coaching, put your hand down if you have. You went through pregnancy and had a baby while coaching. If you've ever had an anxiety disorder while coaching. If you have struggled with an eating disorder like binge eating while coaching. You were told that coaching is morally wrong. That's ever happened to you, you can go ahead and put your hand down. If you have ever moved 4 times in 4 years, or if you've ever moved every year you've been a coach. If you've had 3 or more close relatives die within 3 years of coaching, or every year that you've been a coach. You've had to get a restraining order against someone you live with or love, go ahead and put your hand down. You were told that you had to be a part-time mom while coaching. You were told that you were worthless multiple times a day. You were told that you were fat by somebody that you love repeatedly. You moved across the country in a week. You had a double mastectomy or major surgery while being a coach. You have been diagnosed with attention deficit disorder while coaching. This is kind of a silly one, but if you've ever lost a 10-star bonus or like $20,000 over 30 PV, happened to me. I could have just bought $30 worth of product and I would have had my bonus secured. Whoops. You were chastised in a social media group of leaders for being a fast grower in the company, saying you must be doing something wrong. You have been fat shamed on a before and after picture. You were told to get a real job because that little coach thing that you do is cute, but not something that you can really make a career out of. These are all things that I was just able, the list goes on, but those are like the top 20 things I thought of that have happened to me while I've been a coach. And all that tells me is that I'm onto something really, really good, or the enemy would not care this much to try to mess with my coach journey, right? And so I just really, really encourage you guys as you are looking at your future in this, we're in an exciting time of year, like Teen Cup, yes, it's exciting. We're going into, the best time and summit and all this stuff. And I just want to encourage you, whether you're a brand new coach or whether you've been in this for years, you have to know that in every business, there are going to be seasons that are awesome and seasons that are going to rock your world. And it's just how life works. Just know that you are in this for a reason. You are called to this for a great purpose. You are enough. You are worthy. Affirm it every single day. There was a couple times when, honestly, guys, I just sat in my car and it was no longer like, I'm a good mom, I'm a good coach. It was like those affirmations, which are great affirmations, by the way. But sometimes it just took me being by myself in the car, just screaming, God, I trust you. But it was worth it because I know that I'm right where I should be and I'm going to prosper where I'm planted because I'm not going anywhere. And I highly, highly encourage you to do the same. Just have fearless faith, pour into it, know why you're here, and decide that nothing is going to stop you. And there's no reason why you cannot succeed in this business. Do you guys have any questions for me at all?
I mean, I don't think there's no way there can be any questions after that. I mean, let me just say this. I have to thank Melissa for coordinating this call. Melissa Galame. Jessica, when you posted your story right after you locked in Elite on the round table, I was reading and I was just like, no, like couldn't even wrap my head around what you had just gone through and persevered. And I was literally typing, and Melissa commented, "Can you do a call?" And I'm like, I'm jumping in on that one, because I mean, everybody needs to hear your story. Everybody needs to hear your story, and not just once, but 85,000 times. Because if you could keep going and you could keep achieving during, I would have to say, the most difficult of circumstances that I've ever heard, because you went through it all, not just in the last year, but in the last 4 years that you've been a coach, and you stay. And you said it doesn't, something about showing up. Can you repeat that? That
It doesn't take talent to show up. Is that what you meant?
Right. That, I mean, it's just, you just have to show up, and you keep showing up and showing us what's possible when you do that, despite all of life's challenges. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for doing that, because you've re-inspired me. I'm getting emotional, but you've re-inspired me that despite any difficulty that we face, that we can always just show up to this. And what you said about, this, it gave you purpose in your darkest time. I think a lot of people underestimate that power, that they force themselves to believe that this has to be a burden. It has to be a burden. There's no purpose behind it when times get rough, and that perspective has to shift. Because when times get rough and you're able to lean into the power of this opportunity through the team and through personal development and all that stuff, like, it literally can change your life just like it has yours. So I just want to say thank you.
Amen to that, girl. And my team, it felt better than going 15-star.
Yeah.
It did. It felt better. It was like, I mean, we were literally, everybody was across the country, but we were like jumping for joy, like where we were at. It felt like this sisterhood could not be any stronger, like, it's so powerful. It's so powerful to be part of a tribe like that. And you guys have that.
Yeah.
That's what's such an amazing thing about this business.
Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh, you should be celebrating all year, every day.
I am. Like, I look at my babies, Kira got sick not too long ago, and I just remember being up in the middle of the night, and I was like, thank you, Jesus, that I get to be the one. Like, I'm gonna get emotional, but like, I get to be the one that gets to be up with her. Like, there was a time when that could have been up in the air, and the fact that I get to be with her, and the fact that I get to hold her no matter what, is like such a gift, So yeah.
Are you going on the cruise?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you guys, since the cruise leaves out of South Florida, and we have such a big South Florida team, there's going to be a lot of hugs for you on that cruise.
Yes. Oh, please. I would love your hugs.
All right, you guys. Well, Jessica, thank you. Melissa, thank you for coordinating Jessica. And obviously thank Autumn for doing the first half of our call on Ultimate Portion Fix. I will share the recording with all of you guys as soon as it's up. Awesome start to February. You guys rev up those engines. I know you're inspired tonight. Take that inspiration and take massive action. That is how you make your dreams a reality with this opportunity. Love you, Jessica. Love you guys. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Thanks, guys.